It began with a whisper, the kind of rumor you almost laugh off because it feels too outrageous to be true. But then, like a cold wind cutting through the silence of Buckingham Palace, the whispers hardened into something undeniable. A discovery so damning that Prince William, the heir to the throne, had no choice but to act. Imagine this. The future King of England, a man who has dedicated his entire adult life to protecting the monarchy, sitting in a private room, listening to recordings of his own father, King Charles, being secretly taped by his own brother, Prince Harry. Yes, you heard that right. Secret blackmail tapes. The kind of thing you'd expect in a spy thriller, not inside the House of Windsor. But before we continue, please subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell for more updates. And the fallout? Explosive doesn't even begin to describe it. William didn't just confront Harry behind closed doors. He didn't just cut off communication. He did something unprecedented. He stripped Harry and Meghan's children, Archie and Lilibet, of their royal styles as prince and princess. Gone. Erased. A bloodline cut off from centuries of tradition with one decision. It was the kind of announcement that shook the royal family to its core, and it left the world gasping. But let's back up for a second. Because before we get to William's jaw-dropping announcement, we need to understand what led to this nuclear moment. You see, this isn't just about royal titles or squabbles between brothers. This is about betrayal, trust shattered, and the terrifying realization that private family secrets could be weaponized for profit. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever had a family fight that went too far? Maybe someone blabbed a secret you thought was safe. Maybe someone betrayed your confidence to gain the upper hand. Now, magnify that feeling by 1,000, add the weight of centuries of royal tradition, the eyes of the world, and a monarchy fighting for survival. That's what William was dealing with. At first, the rumors of the tapes sounded absurd. How could Harry, the once beloved spare, possibly stoop to recording his father and brother? Weren't they supposed to be the modern, relatable royals? Weren't they the couple who claimed to value privacy above all else? But then again, this is the same duo who signed multimillion-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify, and who accused the palace of cruelty on primetime TV. So maybe, just maybe, the idea wasn't so far-fetched after all. When William uncovered the truth, it wasn't just a political scandal. It was personal. These weren't just any conversations. They were intimate, private, the kind of words a father shares with his son behind closed doors, never meant for the public, never meant to be commodified. And yet, there they were, captured, stored, and allegedly dangled as leverage for media deals. Can you picture the fury in William's eyes? The sheer disbelief? This wasn't just Harry betraying the family. This was Harry potentially blackmailing his own blood, his own crown, to feed the hunger of the media machine. And that, my friends, was the line William simply could not allow to be crossed. So what did he do? He acted decisively. In a move both symbolic and seismic, William declared that Archie and Lilibet would no longer be styled as prince and princess. For centuries, titles have been the glue that ties the monarchy together, the markers of legitimacy and continuity. By revoking those titles, William sent a crystal-clear message. Betray the crown, and you will not pass its legacy onto your children. Now, here's where the story gets even juicier. Because this wasn't just about punishing Harry. It was about protecting the monarchy itself. William knew the public wouldn't stomach another scandal. The memory of Diana's interviews, of Andrew's disgrace, of Megxit, it was all too fresh. The monarchy couldn't afford to be seen as weak, fractured, or worse, compromised by blackmail. William had to draw a line in the sand, not just for his family, but for the survival of the crown. And yet, here's the contradiction that makes this story irresistible. William's choice to protect the monarchy meant cutting out his own niece and nephew, two innocent children, born into a storm they never asked for, suddenly stripped of the titles that were their birthright. Was it fair? Was it cruel? Or was it the only option left on the table? That's the question that has split public opinion like never before. On one side, there are those who cheer William's decision, calling it bold, necessary, even heroic. On the other side, there are those who see it as cold, heartless, and devastating for Archie and Lilibet. And in the middle sits the rest of us, watching this real-life royal drama unfold like a Netflix series we can't stop binge-watching. But here's the thing. This isn't fiction. This is real. And what William uncovered, those secret tapes, may be the most dangerous scandal the monarchy has faced in decades. Because if Harry was willing to record his father, what else was he willing to do? What other secrets could be lurking on those tapes, waiting to explode? And maybe the biggest question of all. If the monarchy itself can't trust its own members, how can it expect the public to trust it? This is where our story begins. With a discovery that shattered the bond between brothers. With a decision that shook royal tradition to its foundations. And with a question that will haunt the monarchy for years to come. Was this the beginning of the end, or the painful act of preservation that might just save it? But of course, what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. It was supposed to be the love story that saved the monarchy. That's how the press sold it, at least. Prince Harry, the rebellious spare who had spent years stumbling through scandal after scandal, finally found redemption in the arms of Meghan Markle. An American actress, a self-made woman, and, most importantly, someone who could inject the Windsor dynasty with a shot of modernity. The wedding in 2018 wasn't just a royal event. It was marketed as a cultural turning point. A biracial American bride walking down the aisle at St. George's Chapel. A gospel choir belting out soulful hymns. Celebrities from every corner of Hollywood sprinkled among the pews. For one shining moment, the monarchy felt like it had cracked open its centuries-old doors to let in the sunlight of progress. People cried. People cheered. Headlines around the globe hailed it as a fairy tale for the modern age. And in that moment, it seemed like nothing could tarnish the glow. William stood as best man, smiling through it all. Charles walked Meghan down the aisle when her father couldn't. The Queen herself gave her quiet blessing. It felt, for just a heartbeat, as though the Windsors had finally found their happy ending after decades of tragedy, scandal, and heartbreak. But what's the saying? Every fairy tale has a dark side, because beneath the glittering surface, tensions were already brewing. Meghan's arrival wasn't just a breath of fresh air. It was a storm that rattled the palace windows. Courtiers whispered about her Hollywood ways, her refusal to bow to old traditions, her determination to control her own narrative. Harry, once known for his loyalty to his brother, suddenly became a man transformed. Protective, fierce, even paranoid. He wasn't just in love. He was on a mission to shield Meghan from the very institution that had shaped him. At first, William tried to understand. He had welcomed Meghan warmly, at least outwardly. But privately, he was concerned. He urged Harry to slow down, to consider whether Meghan truly understood the weight of royal life. Harry, of course, bristled. To him, it sounded like doubt, like jealousy, like the same cold skepticism that had driven their mother, Diana, to despair. That conversation, insiders later revealed, was the first crack in the brothers' once unbreakable bond. And the cracks widened fast. Behind palace walls, the Sussexes began to pull away. Staff complained of impossible demands. Stories of screaming rows leaked to the tabloids. Rumors swirled of jealousy between Meghan and Kate. Headlines pitting Duchess Difficult against Duchess Perfect. The media, once enchanted by Meghan's sparkle, began to turn. And instead of rallying together, Harry and Meghan pointed the finger squarely at the palace. The fairy tale was unraveling. Here's where things get complicated. To the public, the Sussexes painted themselves as victims of a cruel institution and a merciless press. And maybe there's some truth to that. But to William, it looked very different. He saw his brother slipping away, not just from him but from the very fabric of the monarchy. Every interview, every leaked story, every Netflix deal was another nail in the coffin of the relationship. And then came Megxit. January 2020. The announcement that Harry and Meghan were stepping back from royal duties hit like a thunderclap. The palace was blindsided. The Queen was devastated. William was furious. For the first time in history, a senior royal had essentially quit the family business and gone global. California sunshine replaced Balmoral rain. Private jets replaced royal trains. Oprah interviews replaced Buckingham Palace speeches. The fairy tale bride and her prince weren't just rewriting their story. They were tearing out entire chapters of the royal playbook. From William's perspective, the betrayal cut deep. He had spent his whole life preparing for duty. He had sacrificed freedom, privacy, and personal ambition to uphold the crown. And yet, here was Harry, his brother, tossing it all aside, and cashing in on it to boot. It would have been bad enough if it ended there. But it didn't, because every step Harry and Meghan took, every podcast, every TV deal, every tell-all, came with a subtext that painted the monarchy as cold, cruel, and complicit. William wasn't just losing his brother. He was watching the family's very foundation being chipped away, brick by brick. And still, despite all the hurt, there remained a flicker of hope. Families fight, families break, families heal. Maybe, just maybe, the wounds could still be mended. After all, William and Harry had been through everything together. The death of their mother, the scrutiny of growing up in the world's harshest spotlight. Surely, blood could outweigh bitterness. But then came the discovery, the tapes, secret recordings of private conversations with their father, King Charles. The kind of betrayal that didn't just sting, it detonated like a bomb. William could forgive harsh words spoken in anger. He could forgive interviews that aired dirty laundry. But blackmail? Using their own father's words as leverage for media deals? That was unforgivable. The fairy tale was well and truly shattered. What began as a wedding watched by billions had devolved into a saga of betrayal, secrecy, and heartbreak. The golden couple who were supposed to modernize the monarchy had, instead, dragged it to the brink of humiliation. And so William made his choice. He couldn't save his brother. He couldn't salvage the fairy tale. But he could protect the monarchy. And that meant drawing a line that even Harry couldn't cross. A line marked not by words, but by action. Stripping Archie and Lilibet of their royal styles. Now, here's the haunting question. If the fairy tale collapsed this spectacularly, what does that say about the foundation it was built on in the first place? Were the cracks always there, hidden beneath the gloss and glamour, waiting to explode? Or was it Harry and Meghan who brought the storm that finally broke the spell? Because the story wasn't just about a broken marriage between brothers. It was about the monarchy itself. And what came next would prove that William's announcement wasn't just bold. It was the most dangerous gamble of his life.